Hello everybody and welcome back to another Assassin's Creed Origins video, and in today's video we are going to be discussing the new video that just came out by IGN first, came out yesterday, Combat and Arena Deep Dive video. So it's 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes long. Azrath talks to the IGN people, I guess, about the combat system and the arena system. So it's pretty cool. There's a ton of new information about the weapons and about the bosses and the enemies and all kinds of stuff that is really important. So hopefully you guys stick around until I get done with this video, because there's a lot of information. So first of all, previously there was a paired animation system to where you can just walk up to an enemy and attack, and basically it creates an animation no matter like how far away you are from them. If you're standing like 3 feet away, or if you're like right in front of them, basically it just like brings the enemies together. But in this, it's a hitbox system, which makes range, speed of weapon, and the position of the enemies and the enemy's equipment matter a lot more than before, because you could just counter everything back in the past, pretty much. There are also two base attacks that you can use. A light standard combo, basically just a light attack that gives you a combo, and then you can also have a heavy attack that you can combo with the light attack, and the heavy can also break the defense of the enemies. Another bit of information is that enemies on the ground, or if you are behind the enemies, you do bonus damage to them. So if you get the enemies on the ground, and if you are behind the enemy, then you do more damage. So that is some pretty cool information about the whole damage system. The damage system is a lot different now too, so that's another thing to consider. Another thing is that you can dodge, like the dodges stack 3 times before you need to recover. So basically you can dodge 3 times in a row. And then if you parry with your shield, then it stuns the enemies, which allows you to do bonus damage also. So that is really cool. And all those attacks that you do give an adrenaline meter that builds up over time, and as you build up the adrenaline, it allows you to unleash pretty devastating attacks, and the different weapons have different devastating attacks. Like one does singular damage, to where it just does like one hit that does a bunch of damage. Another one does like a chain of attacks, that's kind of like a combo. Another one is called Fury Mode, where it unleashes a lot of damage to the enemies. It's basically where you like rage for a minute. And there are also 8 categories of melee weapons, and they use 3 game pillars, which is range, speed, and power. So that is pretty important to take into consideration, because like if you have a spear, then you get a lot of range and you get decent power, but you don't get much speed. If you have like dual little blades that they talked about in the video, you get a lot of speed, not much range, and decent power. So it all matters on that. And there are also 4 categories of bows also. There's a warrior bow, which shoots multiple arrows like you've seen in the trailer, like the very first trailer at E3. There's a rapid fire bow that just shoots rapidly, and whenever you do the rapid fire bow, you can actually like shoot somebody in like the foot, and it will make them drop their shield. So that is actually really cool. There's a predator bow, which is basically just like a sniper, and there's also a hunter bow, which is just the regular type of bow. You can also get poison tips on your weapons, and you can also do bleeding damage to your enemies with your weapons. So that is basically like the poison darts and all that stuff, but it's just like with the actual weapons. There are also different types of brutes in the game, and there are these things called super enemies, which are like commanders and elite soldiers, and whenever you're fighting them, the other soldiers kind of back away and cheer them on, like because they're their leader, but they'll still fight you if you get close. And another type of enemy are the predators, and they're basically like assassins, where they use smoke bombs, and they try to get behind you so they can kill you. And they're pretty sneaky, because they can't do very good damage if you're like facing them head on. There are also bosses in it, of course, and there are arenas, and the bosses are in the arenas. And the arenas, there are 2 main purposes of them. They enhance the combat system, basically let you use different types of combat, like different ways to use the combat, basically. And then another thing is that it creates an area that creates a true fight challenge with waves of enemies and bosses. So there's like waves that you can do, and you get rewards from it, like outfits, weapons, and just money, by doing the arenas, by defeating bosses in the arenas, by beating like waves and stuff, waves of enemies. The initial intro to the arenas, where you first like get to go to an arena, comes from the main quest line, and you don't have to do the arenas, but if you want, then you can, to get the weapons, outfits, and the rewards, like I said. There are a lot of different arenas in the game, and they come from a bunch of different areas, such as small, noisy places. Others are like grand arenas that are really epic, and there's just a bunch of people there, and it's all big. And sometimes in the arenas, you have to fight with specific weapons that are given to you. And other times, you might only have a bow, so it is pretty important, and it does range. There are also pits, traps, and animals in the arenas, so you can watch out for those. You can use those to your advantage. They can be to your disadvantage, whatever way, however you use them. And there are, in the arenas and just overall in the game, there are unique bosses that have different personalities. So some bosses might be bloodthirsty and want to put on like a different show, to where they would just like have a bunch of flair and stuff, and other ones are pretty subdued. So it does matter. It ranges a lot, but this game has a lot of diversity and everything. Like, everything really matters in this game, versus before you could have like any weapon and you could pretty much kill any enemies with it pretty easily. So this game does seem really different with the way that everything works, and I think they've really put a lot of time and effort into it. They started working on it right after they finished Black Flag, and they wanted to create a different type of combat system than before. That's what Ashraf said in the interview type thing. So I really think they did put a lot of time and effort into this. Hopefully this is going to be a really good game. Might even be Game of the Year material, depending on how it is. And it could even be one of the best Assassin's Creed games. I know people think Ezio is like the best, and the Ezio trilogy is the best, but it could be as good as them. We just have to wait and see, because this game is so unique and it's so good for the Assassin's Creed series that I think it's just gonna come out on top over pretty much all of the Assassin's Creed games in terms of how good they are. So, I mean, hopefully this game will be really good, especially with all these different types of weapons, and the combat system is a lot different. But with the 8 different types of weapons, it's pretty diverse with the way you can have your combat system going. There's a lot of different things you can do, which I really like that about this game, because everything is really important with the way that you fight. So, I mean, there's like a little spear, there's like little daggers, there's a like a staff type thing that you can fight with. There's just a whole bunch of different types of weapons that you can use, which I think is a really cool thing that they implemented, because before there wasn't too much of a range of weapons that you could use. You could pretty much just pick up weapons off the ground, or you could go to like shops and get weapons. So there was a pretty big difference with the weapons compared to before. So I think this game is going to be really awesome with the new weapon system, and it should be a really cool game, because it's so big, but it's like really diverse compared to before, because everything was so like one-sided kind of. It's hard to explain, but it's like everything was like you had to do this thing, but in this game you can just like do whatever you want to. You have the freedom to basically do everything, make your own choices, have free time, just do whatever the heck you wanted. So I think this game is going to be really cool, considering all of this information. The different 8 weapons, I'm actually going to say them. There are, let's see, there's the dual swords, the regular swords, the heavy blades, the spear, the I can't even really pronounce this one that well, but it's called the scepters. I hope I pronounced that right. I've barely said that word ever in my life, okay? I'm sorry. There's also a heavy blunt and a sickle sword. So that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool with the diversity of the game and how different it's going to be compared to the previous Assassin's Creed games. Sorry that I was stumbling again. I was looking at the video as I was talking, so I really apologize for that. But anyways, this is gonna be it for today's video. I hope you all really enjoyed this video, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new, because it does help out my channel, and you will be able to see whenever new Assassin's Creed information comes out, so you can get them from me. And whenever the game comes out, I'm going to record it if it doesn't make my PC lag, because I can play Unity fine, but I can't record it because it uses all my CPU usage. And also, if you want to support my Patreon, you can. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not trying to be a sellout, but you do get a bunch of cool rewards, like a live Q&A once a month, a personal thank you message, your name in my videos, so you will be actually a part of my channel permanently. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next video.